welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tiffany Ong. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I have my own private practice focused on sports nutrition and weight loss. So if you're interested in one-on-one nutrition counseling, be sure to click on the links below. My Instagram is @TiffanyOngNutrition. And today we will be doing our weekly Monday quiz. So this week there's a lot of controversy because I purposely did that since some posts came out from certain magazines, which I'll talk about a little bit more, but let's jump right into it. So the first question: how much fluid should the average adult woman drink? Note that one standard Poland Spring water bottle is 16.9 fluid ounces, or like 17 fluid ounces. So it's A, 70 fluid ounces, B, 80, C, 90, D, 100 fluid ounces. The answer is here, C, 90 fluid ounces. So the average male should be drinking 3.7 liters and the average woman should be drinking 2.7 liters. Now, not all of it has to come from strictly water or fluids, but can be included in things like soups or like cucumbers, tomatoes, watermelon, those kinds of things. But a majority of it should be coming from the drinks you do consume. So a lot of you guys actually chose 80 fluid ounces. If you turn this into the amount of water bottles you should be drinking, that 90 divided by 17, let's just say, would be about 5.25 Poland Spring water bottles. So if you're the type of person to only be drinking 1 or 2 water bottles, I really suggest you slowly work up to that 5 bottle range. Now, again, this is for an average adult woman. So if you're an athlete, or if you're in very high intensity, high output sports that require you to sweat a lot, then I would suggest you need even more than that. I personally try to aim for more like 120 fluid ounces a day. Not always making it, I'm going to be completely honest, but definitely reaching at least that 90 mark is going to be ideal. Now, especially when you are in those situations too where you're sweating a lot, then that fluid should also be considered from high electrolyte drinks such as Gatorade or Powerade, not sponsored, but those are drinks that are going to provide you more of that electrolyte balance. Second question: which is the safest way for obese people to lose weight? A, HIIT training, B, walking, C, running, D, powerlifting. Now, I limited this to exercises. Nutrition is a whole nother story, but the answer is walking, because when you are obese or you have a lot more mass on you, that's putting extra stress on your joints. So things such as HIIT training, running, even powerlifting to start out is not going to be the safest way, because you don't want to risk that injury and you don't want to risk putting that extra poundage and pressure on those joints, because it is a lot of weight. So for example, an average 130 pound woman might not have as much stress as a 300 pound woman. Not to say like that there's anything necessarily wrong with doing powerlifting at that weight, which a lot of powerlifters at that weight are very strong and able to do that. But if you're a beginner and you're starting out, that is highly not recommended, because unless you have that muscle mass that's already built in there as well, you're going to have a lot of risk of injury. So a lot of you did choose walking, which I'm glad to hear. That is something that I encourage everyone to do, no matter what your size. We'll get into that in the second to last question, but everyone should be doing some sort of physical activity each day. Question 3: what is the most important factor for bulking? A, protein intake, B, carb intake, C, BCAAs, or D, caloric surplus? Answer is caloric surplus, because if you're bulking in the sense of increasing weight, then caloric surplus is the most important thing, because you can definitely increase muscle size but stay the same weight if you were to manipulate your macros and increase protein intake and decrease maybe fat intake. But that's not really what the question is going for here. For the caloric surplus, unless you are eating more than you currently are, you're not going to put on extra weight. So I mean, this question could be taken vaguely because of how people term bulking, but for the most popular uses of the term, that caloric surplus is going to take precedence. Then once you increase your calorie surplus, then you can think about, okay, maybe in relation to that calorie surplus, then your protein intake is also going up just by the nature of how you're increasing those calories in the macros. So BCAAs is just like, I don't want to address that because it's not really, especially a supplement that I would recommend, because a lot of BCAAs are coming from food as well, and if you're getting adequate protein intake, that's really a waste of money. But the carb intake is also going to be important for muscle building, but it's not as important as protein synthesis, nor is it as important for bulking as calorie surplus. Most of you chose calorie surplus, but a large portion also chose protein intake. And again, I know why you might have chosen that, but that's, again, for more recomping rather than bulking in the sense of increasing weight. Fourth question. Obese people shouldn't be pressured to do physical activity. True or false? False. So I wrote this here because I'm going to insert it here, but there is a magazine who is basically saying that, gyms and exercise is fat phobic because you need money and time and the space, and that is completely false. I want to just put my own thoughts out there, but walking is free, like I said before. Walking is free and healthy if you are obese. If you are not obese, if you are underweight, I still would recommend, some sort of physical activity, not for weight loss per se. Weight loss could be an indirect, result of that. But the main reasons is for healthy blood flow, is for also mental health, but also cardiovascular health. And that's the most important thing. Our country is so deep in this obesity epidemic and has so many preventable chronic diseases, such as cardiovascular disease. It's the number one killer in America. So if we are not addressing this and we're not taking into consideration that our body should be moving, especially post-COVID, this is a huge problem because a lot of people are sedentary. We need to be putting more pressure and more emphasis on, yes, go outside, go for a walk, do anything physical that is going to, increase that heart rate a little bit or increase, the movement of nutrients through your body. That is something that I hold to a very high value, and I would say, everyone should be doing it. I'm also going to, post a list of all the risks of obesity and also the associations and links to these other diseases that it can have. And again, we can be body positive. We can support health at every size to an extent, and have a positive mindset about the bodies that we're in. However, if we're ignoring healthy lifestyle habits, which is what health is all about, then we are doing a disservice to solving this problem. So that's just my 2 cents. That's really what I want to emphasize here, because there is a lot of talk, and especially now in society, everything has to be taken with a grain of salt, otherwise someone somewhere is going to get their feelings hurt. And again, I hear it. I'm not body shaming. I'm not, holding anyone to a lesser standard because of the way they look or anything like that. But it comes down to health. It comes down to what I am supposed to do as a dietitian and promote these healthy habits. So please forgive me if that feels like it's targeting anyone in particular, but it's just simply my own duty as a dietitian to really draw light to that. And the reason why I do draw so much light to that is because a lot of you chose true, which is fine. But I hope that many of you watch this video and kind of align with what I'm saying now, that you hear this explanation, you hear me out. I'm not trying to, again, shame anyone or make them feel uncomfortable, but this is the reality of it. And we really need to come to conclusion and be on the same page. All right, enough of that. Last question, which is not an intuitive eating practice? A, get active and feel the difference. B, eat when you're hungry. C, allow binging episodes to complete itself. Or D, find non-food related coping emotions. Answer is C. Binging, the reason why I also put this question out there is because Intuitive eating, like a lot of this body positivity, health at every size stuff has come about, has been taken a little bit of a wrong turn, I would say. I 100% support intuitive eating. I do this with a lot of my clients for people who really need that support. However, there are principles of this intuitive eating practice. It's not just eat whatever you want, eat whenever you want, and however much you want. It's more about, listening to your body and using that intuition of your body physically, mentally, emotionally to then make healthy choices. Again, it's all coming back to health. It's not just saying whatever you're thinking, yep, you're right. Like, that's not what it is. It's also about healing those relationships with food. So binging is an unhealthy relationship with food. You wouldn't want to allow that binge episode to continue and complete itself if that is something that you're trying to combat. The other ones, I know it might not be as highlighted in the media, but are still part of the principles of intuitive eating, such as getting active and feeling the difference. That is just showing, like, still be physically active. That's still a principle. But also notice what that does to your body. How do I feel after I exercise? Is this making me feel good? Like, those are things that you want to draw light to. Honoring your hunger fullness cues is a big part of intuitive eating, so that you can, allow your body to tell you, yes, I'm hungry, let's eat. Okay, I'm full, let's stop. Those are other parts that are free and healthy for even obese to really work on and hone through, that article is not addressing. Finding non-food related coping mechanisms for emotions, that is also another big one that should be self-explanatory. We don't want to always resort to food for comfort. There's other things in life that can bring stress relief. So those are, again, part of the intuitive eating practices. I'll post again another screenshot of the intuitive eating principles so that you can screenshot them and keep them by your side. But most of you did choose the right answer. And if you do have any questions about that or find yourself needing that kind of support, again, I offer one-on-one nutrition counseling. I would love to help you along that journey and be that guidance, to be the one to say, okay, this is what's really happening and this is the healthiest way to approach it versus what maybe the media is telling you. And I have a very strong opinion about the media and nutrition and nutritional recommendations. So if you're interested in that, again, my stuff is going to be linked down below. Make sure you follow my Instagram, keep up with me on these videos. I have a lot more content that I'm pushing out. And if you want to participate in these weekly Monday quizzes, I post on my story the multiple choice questions every week. Like always, eat well, train often. I'll see you guys soon.